Hello, welcome to Agric Today on ARCN Television, Abuja, Nigeria. I am Khadija Oluwatoyin. This week's episode of the program is going to be focused on dry season farming. I know that non-farmers, or let me say those that are not into farming in any way, will be wondering what do I mean by dry season farming. This is the farming activities that happen during the dry season where there is no rainfall. And to discuss that with me in the studio is an in-house guest. He is from ARCN here in Abuja, and is Mr. Peter Baushe.
Yes.
Okay, yes, it's Mr. Peter Baushe. Thank you for joining us on the program, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, you've heard the topic. We're going to be looking at dry season farming. To start with, what is dry season farming?
All right, dry season farming. Thank you for having me, Khadija. Dry season farming is the farming activity that is embarked on during the dry season. Dry seasons usually begin from October to March of the next year. So all farming activities that take place within this period is termed dry season farming. And this happens because the rains are gone, and so plants usually survive with rainfall. So all activities in this season is termed dry season farming. Thank you.
Okay, listeners, farmers have heard it, especially for those upcoming farmers. What dry season? That means that at this time, all your farming, anything you put into the soil has to be done by irrigation. Am I right?
That's correct.
Okay, so tell us, how does this work?
Well, dry season farming, to begin with, irrigation, let me take it historically, has been around for over 5,000 years. Irrigation is very important because this supplies rain or water to crops that is eaten by humans, to landscape, when you do landscape agriculture, and then to lawns, supply water to all of this. Irrigation, which is the means of irrigation, means watering, watering, is very important, to carry this out. And that usually is a problem, especially bringing it down to Nigeria. But on the global scale, let me just read out a few statistics. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, said globally about 1,260 million hectares, of land, cultivable or arable lands, are rain-fed. That is cultivated using rainfall. Yes, and this corresponds to about 80% of all cultivation. And then it produces 60% of all the world's food that we need. But then compare this, hold that thought, and then we have the other 20%. I mentioned 80%. 20% covers about 277 million hectares of land. Yes, that is under irrigation worldwide. And this supplies 40%. So you can juxtapose the two. Yes, that tells you the importance, that underscores the importance of dry season farming. So bringing it close now, let me read a few statistics. China has about 690,070 square kilometers of their land under dry season farming, irrigation farming. It's followed closely by India. It has about 667,000 square kilometers of land. I don't want to go to all the details because of our time. And then the USA follows with 264,000 square kilometers. And then let's leave that, and come back to Africa. In Africa, Egypt is leading with about 202,000 square kilometers of their land. Egypt, that's the ancient civilization. Civilization started from Africa, from Egypt. The Nile Canal, you remember, they do a lot of irrigation, but all of that, is just about 202,000 square kilometers. And then they rank 17th. And then our dear Nigeria is the number 70th. And then we do about 2,930 square kilometers. That's what we do, from records. But then it will interest you to know now, focusing on Nigeria now, on irrigation, and it's very critical. Remember the statistics and how important it is to food production. Nigeria has, about 36,872,000 hectares of land that can be cultivated, okay? And then out of this, we have about 88,950 hectares that are used out of 3.4 million hectares. We have vast potential for dry season farming that is untapped, unutilized. That's why I'm excited about the federal government wanting to deploy by November about 70,000 hectares, for dry season farm. So imagine the impact on food insecurity. It will bring a lot of food security, a lot of food to people today. So those are just the statistics that we need to look at. Yeah.
Okay, so for the benefit of farmers, they said there's nothing that has advantages and disadvantages. So before we go there, what kind of crops can we, farm at this dry season?
Well, dry season crops, there are so many of them. You can farm cucumber, you can farm rice. Let me even go back to rice. Some of our import bills, the major things eating up our foreign exchange is rice. Yes. Rice, and then followed by wheat, and then going to aquaculture is followed closely by fish. These three are the big three. All of them, you can do them on the dry season farming. Very important. Rice, wheat especially. In fact, wheat is done in Borno, that northeast axis, because cold weather during Harmattan, which wheat likes, and then you do the dry season farming. Beautiful. You can get some of the best weather conditions in Nigeria. Yes, to feed us all of the flour we need. Yes, so you can grow cucumber, you can grow, peppers, your sweet pepper, your shombo, your atarugu, you can grow onions beautifully, carrots. Yes, dry season crops are so many. There are hundreds of them you can grow. Most crops, you can even do cassava dry season.
Oh, wow.
Yes. You can do cassava. You can do so many other crops, during the dry season. So they are endless. You have all the vegetables can be grown, yes, during the dry season.
Okay, you've told us, so my dear carrots can be found at this area.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think I'll have to watch more of Yoga Fantuan's program, because I know that we're doing some planting for the past episodes. So I'll go and check what I can plant for this, dry season.
Yeah.
What are the advantages?
Wow, the advantages are so many of dry season farming. Okay, one is that during the rain-fed season, the waters cannot be controlled. Okay. The Lagdo, is it the Lagdo Dam now that is being released? Yes. These are trending issues. Many farmers, usually yearly, anytime it is released, lose their farms. The same thing with normal rain-fed farming. It is because water cannot be controlled. And then the effect is that there's a lot of leaching, erosion, the crops are wiped off, so you can't control a lot of things. And with that come a lot of pest infestation, during the rain-fed season. So the advantages now is that you can control water can be controlled, goes into the crop, and because it can be controlled, nutrients too are available to the crops. They are not washed away easily. So when nutrients are available and you have water, the crops can grow optimally. And then you also have good quality crops. Yes, good quality crops. And then the numbers are more. That's why you see those statistics showing you the numbers are more, because everything can be controlled. You can control how much water you give the plant, and so many other things.
So does this mean that harvest at this period is supposed to be, on the increase?
Harvest is supposed to be in the increase. And let me also point something I forgot. During this season, some rainy season, that some places are not accessible because of water. So you cannot, number one, even go there to plant. You're even scared for yourself, but this, you have a lot of leverage. You can go inland, and do a lot of planting. So harvesting too is easy and accessible. And the beautiful thing too is that you can even use irrigation to control weeds. Yes. You can use it to control weeds depending on the type you want to adopt. Yes. And so many other factors.
Okay, what should farmers look out for when doing dry season farming?
Yes. There are a lot of things. The question again is what they should look out for. Okay. Well, they should look out for quite a few things. They should look out for, you're talking about the techniques, what they should watch out for, right? The techniques they should
use.
Yes.
Going about the dry season farming.
Exactly. Well, they should look out for good, high-yielding seeds that they will use to plant. Yes. They should also look out for planting breakers, wind breakers. During the dry season, you have harmattan. So especially those planting vegetables, they should look out for wind breakers so that their crops are not easily damaged. Yes. There are quite a few things to look out for. They should also look out for pests and diseases are usually minimal, during this season, during the dry season, So they should look out for, watering their plants at the right time. Because when there is stress, pests and diseases are usually prevalent. Yes. So they should look out for timely watering. Is very important. And then for their fertilizer regime, for those who want to use fertilizer, for some will advise you just go natural or organic. It is interesting to note that when you use fertilizer for yams, you can also plant yams during dry season. Without fertilizer it's even better because the yams you harvest will store longer. But with your fertilizer, that is, I'm talking about the inorganic, that's the NPK and the rest, they rot easily.
So that's the reason why I buy yams and before a month,
they are gone. Yes. So if you plant them organically using manure, it's interesting. I'll come to that later during innovations. If you plant organically, number one, you even save cost. And then number two, at the end of the day, you have very quality products that is good for your system without any problem, inimical to your system, to your health, yes. And then it stays longer. That means you're saving money.
Okay, quickly, we've heard from our guests. Let's take a quick break. On return, the program continues. Stay tuned. Hello, it's still Agric Today on ARSN Television, Abuja, Nigeria, and I am your host, Khadija Oluwatoyin. Like I said earlier, our guest in the studio for this week has been Mr. Peter. Welcome to the program again, sir.
Thank you very much.
He has dissected, the topic so well that I'm beginning to even understand the kind of crops that can grow during this dry season. You wanted to say something before we went on the break?
Yes, some other things to look out for. We're looking at the farmers. Meanwhile, farmers, they call them small-scale farmers.
Yes.
those who plant from 2 hectares and under, they constitute over 70% of the farmers in Nigeria and even worldwide. Yes, interestingly, China, who has a lot of them, has a lot of smallholder farmers. So, and it's the key to getting food security sorted out. So you focus on that, not on the big time farmers, because that's where the thing is. And I'll still talk about that in innovations, later on. So some things to also look out for are that you need to, we're talking of dry season farming. You need to get varieties that are drought tolerant varieties. There's a lot of research. That's why we're in agric research. A lot of research. So you have crops that are tolerant, to water. This because, you cannot say when there's maybe a breakdown, you don't have water as you expect and all that, the plants will still be there, will still be tough and ready to deliver for you.
Okay, I was coming to break it down, but you already did.
Yes.
It's not all farmers that understand what drought is.
Yes.
So on the program, we try as much as possible to be as simple, the English be as simple, so that we can pass the information down to the smallholder farmers, like you said.
That's right.
Okay, so this literally means that the seedlings should be the one that, with or without abundance of water,
yes, they can survive and thrive. Yes. And then another thing too is mulching. Is season, and so a lot of transpiration, that is evaporation, that's the taking off of water, takes place. And then there are no clouds cover to protect that. And so you need a lot of mulching. You can use some use leather, black leather, yes, everywhere. That's the standard all over the world. Leather to cover it, black leather. But you can also use grass cover on the crops to avoid escape of moisture, of water. Because when you spray water and you don't cover, it evaporates, it dries up quickly. So those are key things to look out for. Another thing is to plant cover crops. Cover crops like legumes, yes, alfalfa, in between the rows. This, number one, also kills weeds, and it also maintains water, and moisture for your crops to take up.
So, does this mean that these crops now that you're saying are these ones that will have, like a cover, like a canopy? Because I know I've been to a farm where, I don't know if it's yam that is being planted, but then beside it, I'm seeing something like a flower, like a canopy covering, covering the other crops underneath.
That's right. That's
Is
right.
that what you meant?
These are cover crops. Yes,
Okay.
part of there are various species of cover crops.
Okay.
Like I say, they are alfalfa, they are legumes, and they are also important because they end up adding nutrients and nitrogen to the soil, which can also be taken up by your major crop. Yes, and they also serve to protect your crop from weeds. Yes.
This is interesting. Whoever says that agric is not interesting, then the person has not really, sat and listened to
absolutely.
really in depth in it.
Yes.
Moving forward, what are the innovations that need to be tried at this season?
Thank you very much. Innovations generally are very important steps you take. They say necessity is the mother of invention. So innovations, are very important in moving forward. In fact, innovation, the phone you're holding today is a product of somebody's thought, and then it was scaled up, built on. So in Nigeria today, smallholder farmers, we need a lot of innovation. Why that is important is because you'll be surprised that at so many people are afraid now to go to the farms because of the insecurity. So we can go ahead and talk about this, till tomorrow. But out of every problem, there's a silver lining. There's a way out. So in this case now, the innovations we need to start as in dry season farming is that everybody can be involved in farming. in your backyard. If you are conversant with social media, you see potato. In fact, orange flesh potato, different varieties of beautiful potato, planted in sacks.
Yes.
So you plant them in sacks with the right soil, and then you put holes all over, the sack, and plant this potato. Watering whatever season, you'll be shocked at the harvest you have. In your backyard now, no matter the season, especially dry season we are entering, you can plant your yams. It's always advisable to plant. In fact, planting season for yams is November. You can even plant it during the rainy season, so that when the dry season is over and you don't have a lot of water, And then meanwhile, talking about irrigation, one key factor that I forgot to mention is that the source of water. Your source of water is very important. You have to be either close to a river that doesn't dry up, a dam, a canal. Canals are usually artificial, created by government. Or you dig a borehole if you have the resources to do so. All these water sources are critical for dry season for your plants to survive, unless you want to get a truck of water coming to the farm time after time to water your plants. So you have to have an irrigation schedule to do that. So back to innovation, there's also this vertical, they call it vertical farming. Okay, yes. You are living in a story building. In fact, all over the world now, people grow their own vegetables. I know you're Yoruba and you love ewedu.
Yes, and pepper.
And pepper, yes. Ewedu, it is advisable that you don't even buy now from the market. Ewedu has a lot of recent discoveries. Research has shown that it is one leaf that cures a lot of ailments, whether high BP, so many things. Yes. When you blend and just eat and just drink, rather.
Days ago, I was telling someone, I said, this ability people take advantage of. Once I'm close, I don't know what magic it does, yes. But once I'm close to delivery of any of my child,
yes.
I notice that my mom blends this, and I must drink a glass every day.
She's a wise woman.
Every day, it's a must. And she'll be like, oh yeah, drink, don't worry. I'll drop, don't worry. She'll make a sauce that is peppery.
Yes.
And because I drink half of those,
yes.
it will not come back, don't it?
Yes.
Take the remaining one and then, you don't know what I'm doing for you.
Yes.
And then I told
she's a wise woman.
Yes, I said to someone, I said, this is very helpful.
Very, very helpful. You will be shocked at, the gaps it closes, your nutrient gap. And so many ailments it goes ahead to cure. We don't know what we have. If it's China that has the trouble, they will package it in different varieties and send to the world.
You will buy even the seed.
There's everything, I'm telling you. So they are very important. So back to the widow story. You see, if you planting, you're buying it from the market. There are two inimical things that happen. Usually, a lot of fertilizer directly on a widow is not too good.
Yes.
So scientists will tell you. And even the worst one are pesticides that are sprayed. Yes. On a widow, you won't even see them, the pesticides, because they are in the system. And then when you take it, it affects you. They are highly hazardous, pesticides that have been banned all over the countries of the world, but are still smuggled into our markets. And these farmers, because they are effective to kill this pest, don't know the residual effect on our health. They cause cancer, carcinogenous, yes, and they are inimical to health. People die early, you wonder, all forms of mutations and organ failures. These are the effects, so when you buy it from the market for somebody who is not exposed to avoid them, it is dangerous to you. So the best bet is to plant it yourself. You're the only one that can give yourself 100% assurance and guarantee that nothing inimical is in that thing. So those are some of the importance of backyard farming. So the innovation, just to add, to talk about the food security issue. is that it's very important for our food security that we adopt some of these homegrown practices. Irrigation at your backyard during this dry season. You know, your garden, create one. You don't have to pave everywhere with interlock. Create one. Is for your longevity, is for your good health and that of your children. You know, so those are some of the innovation. And for farmers on the field, there are a lot of innovations. I mentioned, you know, getting the right seed, getting, you know, drought-resistant seeds. You know, these are some things to look out for. Planting hedges, using mulch. You know, there are also others that you do to protect your crops. You know, you protect your crops against pilferage. You know, during this time, your crops are like a city set on the hill. Every eye will be on them. You know, so you have to innovate ways to protect. Either get a security person to guard them.
So that you don't come and see.
You don't come and see somebody has already harvested your crops. You know, like that.
All right. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
So the program for this week. Join us again same time, same station next week. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube page on ARCN TV. I'm Khadija Oluwatoyin. I'm saying catch ya.